Rasheer Fleming has become an NBA draft Twitter darling and a darling among many front office scouts. St. Joseph's product is one of the more quickly rising prospects in this draft. He may be off the radar for college basketball fans, but from an NBA draft perspective, as a prospect, there's a lot to like about his game, Riley. So, what exactly is that? Why are NBA teams so intrigued by his skill set?
It's the athleticism in the frame. Just repeat that 10 times to emphasize how crucial both of them are. He had 43 dunks last year, 6'9", 7'5" wingspan, NBA ready body. And then on top of it too, he was just super productive at St. Joe's a season ago. I think if you watch the tape, like he was an insanely good defender at the college level. The advanced metrics back it up. The eye test backs it up. Like he could switch onto guards and hold his own. And like there was one play, like when if you want to look at some power conference competition, don't laugh, Ralph, when I say this, but against Villanova, Kyle Neptune's Villanova, Fleming fought through a screen, got switched onto Jordan Longino, and just sent his shot into the rafters. Like it was when he blocks shots, he does it so angrily, and like the defensive upside super tantalizing. Shot a high percentage. I don't really know if I buy the shot yet, but yeah, like he just checks all the boxes of like role player 3 and D type wing. Although maybe you throw a little asterisk on the three right now.
Yeah, he is, I think, your prototypical NBA forward,
Hmm.
right? Because he has the wingspan, he's got the quickness to play on the perimeter, to play inside, do some rim protection. Shot the three at a high clip last year. So you see all of that and you're like, oh, like here's your stretch four.
Hmm.
Here is your big three, depending on,
Hmm.
where you want to go big or you go small. He's got a lot that NBA teams look at, right? But at the same time, he's not projected lottery pick. So chance he falls to the second round. He's more likely to go late first round, but I don't think it would shock anybody if he slid. So why could he slide?
I would say like the 3 point shot is the big swing skill for me. Like his base doesn't really look consistent. He kind of like he it doesn't always look fluid. Like there's a little bit of wasted movement there, and the free throw percentage was bad as well. And then I think you question like at this point there's zero playmaking acumen, really low assist rate, and then on top of it the competition level. Like aside from Obi Toppin, I really can't think of any A10 players right now in the league who are making an impact. Am I forgetting any? Like does VCU have a guy out there? Who was that dude who played for the Hornets who went to VCU?
The,
Breon,
this is
Breonte Weber.
yes. VCU's had a couple that stuck around, but they're more like early 2010s, mid 2010s than recently. I think Mo Alley Cox is still doing his thing for the Colts, which might be the move there for VCU.
Right.
Um, we're all pretty in lockstep with Fleming as a group in terms of our sleepers consensus big board. Dion is the high man for him at 21. You had him at 26. I had him at 37. Cart had him at 32. Greg at 39. Checked in right at 30, the last pick of the first round, according to our big board. And that feels about right. Where there's a lot of things you could see him doing well and fitting into a role in the NBA. But the weaknesses that you mentioned, I think, may keep him from like projecting to be a star or projecting to be more than a role player. And so,
Mhm.
what value do you put on that? Right. And I think that's part of the question with him. If he ends in the up in the right spot, I think it could be very productive, but it's just a matter of where he ends up. We have 7 different categories we're going to get to with Fleming. The first one, we're just going to give a word to describe his game. You're going to go first, give your word, I'll give mine, and then we'll discuss Riley. So, what is your word?
Finisher.
I went with analytical or
Let me hear
analytics.
that. I know you teased this off air with a shot chart. Do you want to talk about your analytics?
What are the most efficient shots in basketball according to the analytics?
Dunk slash layups and 3 pointers.
So last season at St. Joe's, Sheer Fleming shot 348 shots, field goal attempts. 159 of them came from three. 188 of them came at the rim. One came from mid range.
Are you sure?
According to Tyler Rucker of here on Twitter, yes.
I usually don't question our good friends over at No Ceiling. excuse me, no ceilings. Got to have it plural. But just looking at his CBB analytics shot chart, he looks like he might have shot like 8 to 10 mid rangers. It looks like seven. I'm not good at counting,
Okay,
but
single digit mid rangers through the course of the season on 348 shot attempts. I may have missed some, but anyways, not a lot of mid rangers. Very efficient from three, very efficient at the rim, and that's all he does.
that actually ties in pretty well with finishing for me. Like he's the ultimate play finisher. He's used a ton as a pick and pop threat. Really good cutting baseline, catching lobs, and yeah. But you're not really going to get into the playmaking type thing. I think there might be a little bit of like untapped upside with the handle. He's just 20 years old. Was looking through his Instagram. Did you know he attended Damian Lillard's Formula Zero camp last summer?
I did not. And by
That's
the way, it was one, two, three, four, five. It was six. Five of those were just more of like towards the rim mid range as opposed to true mid range.
okay. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
And I'm glad the rapid fire counting on my part. Can I get a little props for that?
We know no ceilings is gonna mess things up. I think it's gonna be me that messes things up. So it was hand up, that's on me.
Um, but yeah, I think maybe so. He went to Damian Lillard's Formula Zero camp last summer, which is like super high level prospects get that invite. And some of the highlights there, they had him working on the perimeter. Didn't really see that at St. Joe's. I'm not sure if he gets there in the NBA, but I think at the very least, like, yeah, should be able to knock down spot up threes and catch a ton of lobs.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Is he more likely to hit his floor or his ceiling in the NBA?
Ralph, I wanted to say floor, but then I just dove into the tape and I was so impressed watching him rip Kyle Neptunes to shreds that I had to I had to move it to ceiling. But for real, sometimes I think like I saw someone on Reddit make this comment that like every person covering the draft is like, oh, there are very few flaws in his game, very high floor, the physical tools are all there, but I have him 26. And people are just like making the joke that like, oh yeah, everybody's talking about what a great prospect he is, but he's still like in the mid 20s. And I think when you look at just the facts of this kid's game, I'm like, yeah, I kind of am buying his chance to like to beat the odds and be the next like player to come out of the A10 and be a high level NBA player.
How much of that, though, in terms of like people loving his game but putting him in late first round, where we have him essentially, is the I think lack of variance between his floor and his ceiling. Like, is it that wide of the spread? Because to me, he's one of the guys where the spread is more narrow in terms of what he's going to be, and it just depends how much you value that.
Yeah, I would probably think there's a little bit more variance with his floor and his ceiling. Again, just going back to like when you look at the history of A10 guys in recent years who have stuck in the league versus guys who are, or even coming from like high mid major adjacent leagues like the Mountain West. There's just not a ton, like even someone like David Roddy, who you and I both loved coming out of college, like has not found his footing in the NBA. He's been in and out of the G League. Like I think there's a risk with some of these guys. Like sometimes it flips, sometimes it works out and they make the transition seamlessly. Other times it's like, oh, you're a good athlete, but you looked like a great one playing against George Washington, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I did go with floor. I think his ceiling is a little bit higher than most because I think there's a potential for him to add some like shot creation and off the dribble stuff to his game
hmm
that he hasn't shown. I think the ability is there. If he adds that, I think his ceiling is pretty high, and I think his floor is pretty high too. But I think he's more likely to hit his floor and be like a serviceable role guy in the NBA as opposed to hitting that ceiling where we might get to here in a second when we talk about best case comps. Not a knock on him at all. I just think the floor is much more likely.
hmm hmm
Where do you think he ends up? We talked about fit being very important for where he goes. So what would be the best team fit for him? Again, probably late first round.
I am once again cheating and saying the Spurs because everybody fits well next to Wimby, but I would love to see San Antonio kind of defy some of the logic of these big boards and just take him at number 14. You put him at the three, you have Sohan at the four, Wimbenyama at the five. That becomes a just borderline elite defensive front court.
Producer JK can yell at me. I'm going to derail us a little bit here. Would you rather have Fleming or Cedric Coward? Because to me, they're very similar in terms of like what they project to be. But Fleming, I think, is more sure thing, and Coward is more of an upside pick. So if you are the
Yeah.
Spurs, like which one do you prefer?
Part of me's like lean the well. What was Coward's wingspan? I'm going all wingspan here. Just take the
It
guy
was
with the
it
high.
was it was significant.
Was his 7'1", 7'2"?
I think it was more than
I
that.
don't know if it was as good as Fleming's. To me, I probably would lean Fleming just because there's more production to back it up. I think, Coward only played, what was it? Was it 6 games last year? And I mentioned this on one of our full episodes of Sleepers, but his numbers throughout his career against top 100 Ken Pom competition are really bad. Like he was only 4 for 25 from three, and I think it was either 9 or 10. I think it was 10 career games against top 100 opponents. Had significantly more assists, or excuse me, significantly more turnovers than assists in such games as well. I like Cedric Howard, but Fleming to me, even coming from like a league that hasn't exactly produced pros, I still kind of trust some of the production there more than what we've seen out of Coward.
Cedric Coward's wingspan is 7'2" and a quarter.
Fleming clears.
Okay. I
How
think that might be the
about you?
conversation.
Yeah,
Like
where are you at between those two?
if I'm the Spurs, I'm swinging for Coward,
Hmm.
honestly. But I don't like. I kind of like the Spurs picking one of them.
Yeah, I would love that. I think that'd be a
Yeah.
great fit for either.
I went with the Thunder for Fleming. The reason being, and I kind of went through this when Greg and I did our proposed like lottery trades a week or two ago.
Hmm.
The Thunder have to pay a lot of guys. There are some guys you're going to pay. Chet Holmgren and J Dub, Jalen Williams being the two of them. And they're going to get max or close to max deals. You've already paid Shea. You've paid Alex Caruso. You've paid Isaiah Hartenstein, which we'll see if he stays. But you got to get rid of some guys. The guys you're going to get rid of are the guys in Rasheer Fleming's type role. You're going to probably get rid of Lou Dort. You're probably going to get rid of Isaiah Joe. Probably going to
Hmm.
get rid of maybe Casey Wallace. Like, you're going to need guys to come in and fill that role who can do so on a cheaper deal. Fleming to me is somebody who just pencil in,
Hmm.
right? To do that, play a decent role off the bench. I think that bodes well for him there if he does not end up going to the Spurs. Because Riley, to be honest, I think you and I would be a great fit for the Spurs.
I mean, I could get a few minutes if I got Wemby covering up my defensive shortcomings.
We're gonna have Dylan Harper, Steph Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama, and Uri. And
I will at least try hard. I will battle. You can
we
believe
we
that. I have passion.
I'll throw some lobs. I'll just throw some lobs. In 5 years, we're projecting out. In 5 years, we had different options we could pick from. See an All NBA guy, an All Star starter in the NBA, bench player. See in the G League, is he playing overseas, whether that's in Europe or Australia or wherever else, or is he out of basketball entirely and hosting a podcast like you and I?
I think he's a starter, and this is something where again I'm gonna like stick to my claim that he's gonna hit his ceiling. I think he's, yeah. To me, it's like the safe. He feels relatively safe, and that's gonna sound contradictory when you hear my worst case player comp. But I think like the high floor here will get him a starter role sooner rather than later.
I have starter as well, and it is more of the like fourth or fifth starter than
Hmm.
somebody who's like truly part of a core. It would not strike me. This is not my superlative, which we're going to get into in a second, but it wouldn't be a surprise to me if he was somebody who like was on a new team every 3 years. Not because he wasn't important, because teams viewed him as that kind of piece that could elevate you.
Yeah, someone's always trying to trade for him or pay for him or
Right.
whatever. Yeah,
Almost,
yeah,
this is not one of my player comps either. But you know how like PJ Tucker and Jay Crowder changed hands so many times, but we're
yeah,
always like
yeah,
playing big playoff minutes.
yeah. I would that would be a great career trajectory for Fleming, honestly.
Really would. Which neither of them are my player comps, but those probably realistic player comps.
Hmm.
Let's get into his superlative. As we brought up, we're giving all of our top 80 prospects a yearbook like superlative for this rookie class. So Riley, for you, Rasheer Fleming is most likely to what from the shot class?
He is most likely to become a beloved teammate of a superstar. Maybe it's Wembanyama even.
I said play an impact role on a winning team right away.
Oh, I feel like we're very much in lockstep on that one.
Yes, which is not a surprise because again, Fleming's likely outcomes I think are very narrow. There's not a
Hmm.
widespread on those. Now, best case, worst case, I have a pretty widespread. Might shock you if you've watched some of these videos that I have done. Again, best case, 0.01% chance this works out. Flip side for worst case scenario where it doesn't. So, Riley, what is your best case scenario for Rasheer Fleming?
Best case is Dorian Finney-Smith, even tying into the teammates of the superstar.
I went OG Anunoby.
I don't think that's that crazy, Ralph. It's not as like not as lofty as some of your other projections because like Anunoby's basically just a better version of Finney Smith, you know? Like you're
Yeah,
just taking it one
somebody
step
who
further.
is a really good defender, can do it inside and out, shoot the three. He's developed a little bit more off the
Hmm.
bounce as well, but is still more of a power player. I think Fleming is always going to be that somewhat. But if he develops a little bit more of the handle and can be a little bit more dynamic, I think that's somebody he can end up being.
Yeah, I think he's definitely more similar to Anunoby than Finney Smith now that you say it, just because like Finney Smith's not the level of explosive leaper. I would say if he is like a Finney Smith type role of just strictly like catch and shoot and then catch lobs. I mean Finney Smith like comes off of screens and knocks down threes. I don't think Fleming really got a chance to do that. I think he's really got to improve the consistency as a 3-point shot. But again, if he's gonna stick in the league anyway, he's got to make strides as a shooter. So I don't feel like it's that far fetched to say. But yeah, I like your comp as well, Ralph.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I like it
Good
too.
one.
What is your worst case comp?
Greg Brown the third.
Oh,
Because remember, like when I was thinking of Greg Brown, it was like another one of those play finisher types who was super explosive, was supposed to be this versatile defender. And you saw flashes of it at Texas, former 5-star recruit, but like I'm pretty sure he's overseas now. He's either overseas or G League and just
yeah.
has never put it together, never found the consistency. I would say, even though I think Fleming's floor is a lot higher than that based on the physical tools, based on the productivity, again, if it comes back to like if the 3-point shot doesn't come along, or if he just proves to be an A10 merchant, like he could be out of the league.
I went similar thinking, a little bit more old school, probably like 2 decades. I went with Sean Williams.
Sean with an E
Sean with an E.
at
Sean with
the
an E
end.
from Memphis. He was a 17th overall pick in the 2006 draft. 6'10 combo forward who could shoot three. This is before shooting threes was cool, but could do that. Was more the Rashad Lewis type. That was the pitch. Could do that. Was a little bit more physical. Was athletic, but not like a super dynamic athlete. Just couldn't quite figure it out. Right?
Hmm.
Wasn't a good enough shooter to be the true knockdown guy. Wasn't a true enough big man to really fill that role. So he just kind of ended up floating around, spending time between different NBA teams, different D League teams. At the time, it was a D League, different overseas teams. Had a career that spanned, playing career according to Wikipedia, 2006 2019. Not bad, but the last half of that was D League or overseas. So I I don't think the bottom falls out for him, but I do think there's a world where again the step up competition is causes him to take a step back. He's not the surefire thing that some NBA teams think that he is, or the floor is a little bit lower than teams think it
Hmm.
is, and he just struggles to find his way because he's just average at the things he does well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have zero memory of Sean Williams's game, but I think you made a good breakdown of it, and that sounds what like a worst case of Rashad Fleming or Rasheer Fleming, excuse me, might look like.
He was really good in 2K10,
I
11, or 12.
I knew this was about to be a video game reference.
Yeah, he was with the Knicks and then the Nets. I think he was a really good, like,
This is ringing a
solid
bell
2K
now.
bench guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Which, hey, for sure, Fleming ends up being a 2K god.
There are worse things to be.
Yeah, you take
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
We have 79 other of these videos for all of our top 80 prospects on the channel, so make sure you check those out, like and subscribe.